All right. The topic is the danger of modern parenting. Though this term sounds very dramatic, I definitely don't want it to be like a criticism on modern day parenting, but more as a reflection on how some of our very good intentions are unintentionally harming the children's development and relationships. It's not just the present day time, it's all the atmosphere. So many different things are coming together to somehow make this modern parenting be driven by fear, versus by understanding. We see many parents having worked with teachers and schools, and many of our relatives, younger children, we see that we are afraid as parents that the child may be lagging behind, the child may fail, the child may suffer, whatnot. You know, somewhere the parenting is becoming more of a protection. I don't want my child to feel a certain way, or whatever way I think isn't right or is hurting or is somewhere equated to suffering. I want to protect. I want to camouflage. I want to bring in that barrier where I cushion the child. I somehow control the environment and somehow tell my child, I'm there for you. I'll put you in for tuitions, but perform. So somewhere there is this protection, there is this sense of control, the performance pressure all coming up instead of I as an adult, I as a grounded, steady adult, guiding my child, trusting the process of development, trusting the process of my own parenting, and understanding the phases of child development. So you can see an environment, just visualize an environment where the parent is guiding, where parent is trusting, where parent is aligning with the child developmental phases versus the parent wanting to protect, parent wanting to control, parent wanting to support the child in their performance. So, performance driven environment. The two scenarios are so drastically poles apart. One is natural, aligned with rhythms, aligned with the child development. The other one is more aligned with what the outside world is telling me to do. Get into this rat race. If you don't do it now, you may miss out. So the result that we see in many families, children as well, teachers as well, schools, there is anxiety. There's anxiety in every one of us. You walk in to any setup where there are children, there's always this talks about how one is performing better, how one has excelled, how one has failed. I mean, nobody talks about failure, but then you see that, kind of dancing up the air. There is somehow, especially in children, loss of inner motivation. They don't want to do anywhere. The parents are doing it, and I don't have to care. I don't have to take initiative. I'll just sit and wait until my parents will do it for me. Loss of inner motivation. And also, emotionally, we become weak. We become very fragile. Drop of a hat, I break down. There is no resilience. There is no tolerance to frustration. There is no tolerance to waiting it out. Patience is gone. And that's what we are seeing now. I'm not making this up. Recently I met this young family for the first time meeting the child, and the dad is calling out the child to come, say hi to me. This is, of course, we would want our children to look good and be appreciated because we know the child is also performing when they're not under pressure. So we want them to showcase that to others. But It doesn't happen. Give them time. It will come up naturally. Somewhere, if you look at this entire situation that's brewing right now, childhood seems to be like a project to be completed for parents. A job the minute, I mean, these days, you enroll a child, even when the child is still in the womb. To get into a good school, you need to do that. Get into a school, and then keep the child busy, make sure they don't fall behind. So tuitions, coaching, dance, music, sports, you name it, we do it. Unfortunately, we can also afford, though it's a fortunate situation, but somehow it's become that. And then there are competitions, exams that I need to prepare for. Somewhere, parents are feeling productive when my children are busy. I feel like I've been giving enough for my children when I see my child sitting and happily occupied with something or the other. You know, what we are not seeing is that the child is missing that unstructured life where they can just sit and imagine. They don't have to perform, they don't have to produce anything. They can identify, they can get into a problem and resolve the issues. Somehow we did that in growing up because parents were too busy to get involved in our lives. And there was just trust in the community. We were just let out of the house. And now all of that is gone. The social intelligence is gone. In many of us adults too, the young parents, 24, 25-year olds, when you look at them, they're also very socially awkward. We were just discussing. For us, when we were traveling, when we were young, we used to travel a lot. My dad worked in railways. So we just got into the train and we traveled. There was no concept of reservations, no concept of booking a hotel. We just stayed on the platform if we had to wait for the next train. All of that was a common thing. And now the same me would want a guarantee of having a room, having a convenience, not adjusting, though I experience it. But today's children don't even experience it. For them, it's like living in a cave. No experience of it that I have about it. Similarly, children do not have what is it to be socially intelligent, how to connect with their cousins, how to connect with their aunts, uncles, grandparents. So that is big time lacking even in adults. Five people sit. You invite someone for a party, you just sit without like engaging them, give them some free time. We won't get into memory sharing, we don't get into um, generic talks or some games. We are on our mobiles laughing at some joke somebody I don't even know posted. And that's become a very, very common scene. And what do children gain from this? We are setting that environment for them. And we say children learn from environment, definitely in the first 8 to 9 years. Then, what I cannot teach from structured classes, any of these after school, during school sessions, is that imagination, is that problem solving, is the social intelligence, resilience, respect, trust. None of those I can teach. And you just imagine, yeah, I declare I open a class for teaching imagination. Would anyone send their child to me, or would they rather send them to a math tutoring, science tutoring, or some competition, some robotics? Somewhere we are leaning towards structure. While structure is important, I'm not saying it is not, but we are overdoing it in some way. We are overprotecting the children in some way. Somewhere we are responsible for creating those fragile children. Overprotection creates children who are very fragile because we as parents step in, prepare so much in advance that child need not struggle at all. These days, recently I was talking to a pediatrician, and she was saying children are skipping the milestones of crawling. They're just sitting up and then standing up, no crawling. So because there's a lot of furniture around, maybe because there is no need for them to go fetch a toy that is 5 feet away from them. Everything is around them. They just have to sit, and finally they're tired. Maybe they stand up. We provide everything. Instant provision is there because typically with smaller families, we if we can afford, we have nannies who we pay for to carry the child's bag, to bring the plate to the child, to feed the child, etc., etc. And where we cannot afford as much, we have grandparents living with us. We have neighbors who are there ready to provide. And it was a very interesting thing, my house help. She got her niece, and they are not from well-to-do. They have a single room, and 5, 6 people stay in a room. They're all together. And then my mother was visiting me. She was sleeping in her room, afternoon nap. So I left to lie down on my bed in the other room. She came and she was telling me, Grandma is sleeping alone. And that was like a shocker for her. How can you let the grandmother sleep alone? And it was a wake-up call for me, really. So somewhere we have drifted also. I cannot be blaming children, but somewhere if I can distance myself, watch child go through conflicts, watch children fail, allow them, guide them, support them, but not provide instant gratification, instant pacification to them, and provide things in a way that we don't allow children to get bored. There is no way where they can use their limbs, their ideas to create something. We have toys for you name it, we have it. And unfortunately, this ability to afford is one issue, and also Amazon services, Blinkit services. I mean, they're awesome. I use them, but then to just become slave to it is yet another thing. Child wants something, you blink it, order it. You have it in the next 8 minutes, right? It's like children these days telling, when parents try to tell them we don't have money, they say go to ATM, scan the phone, the pay apps. So somewhere we are responsible to increase the child's tolerance for these frustrations, for the boredom, for instant gratification, not getting instant gratification, etc. Somewhere I, as a parent, must ensure the child develops patience, develops some sort of courage, responsibility, cooperation, and all that they do it through imitation. When I do it, they do it. So somewhere it comes back to me, where I need to provide an environment where I am slow, where I am at peace, where I'm okay with certain things not happening right away, where I'm trying to uh, upcycle, recycle, reuse, and teach children how to reuse certain things. They don't know. Otherwise, we are only creating the protection, we are controlling to ensure that children do not fail. In other words, children become fragile. Do we really want it? Do we want our children to be fragile, or do we want them to be resilient? The choice is totally ours. I mean, it is just to get off that bandwagon we are on right now. Pause a little, look at what is essential. Do I need to pitch into everything my child is doing? Right from what they wear, to which books they read, to what classes they go, and children will just sit back and either enjoy some of them may become supremely frustrated. This whole um, situation where the children don't feel themselves, where there is a pressure, there's a stress, and they cannot open up to their parents. They start seeking that belonging elsewhere. And that is when this parenting kind of becomes uh, difficult. The modern parenting begins to tend towards the dangerous situation, which can many a times with attention time can be reversible, but many a times it is beyond a certain point. When I have a 16-year-old and the parents coming to me that my son is addicted to the social media for 15 hours a day, then I need to spend that much more time to gather that rapport back with the child, and then to see the harm it has caused and to reverse it. And do I have patience for that at that point of time, or am I still outsourcing it? And we do see that happening. Many hostels are coming up. Right from second grade, the hostels are opening up for children. Parents are unable to manage children. And it's not again parents' fault. We have just become slave to this fast-paced world. At least in the first stage of child development, if I can slow down, if I can allow my child to slow down, let it be, rather than validate them, evaluate them, compare them, which unfortunately present day and age, children can go onto social media to get their virtual identity, to get the validation by peers. Of course, children need peers. They do, even in the natural process of development, children go in for peer validation. That is part of their natural development, but that's when they're at 11, 12, 13. And it is not like a compulsive feeling. It is not to distance from the parents. And why I'm saying this is danger, parenting, modern parenting is more dangerous, not because we are bad, not because we are unable or incapable, but because we are also part of this rat race. I was talking to another young couple who don't have children yet. They say in this modern age, I have to have two incomes. Like, understood. But when the child is very young, you can afford to outsource child development to a nanny. Is that what you want? Just think through it. Think through it. Is that what I want? Just predict what may happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now with my child, with the way I am, my family is right now. What could happen? I mean, every situation is very different. The unfortunate part is, we do have adults around us, but somehow we don't trust them. One of the people I know had a baby a few months ago, and she has parents, she has in-laws, she has grandparents around her, she has um, aunts who are willing to come out and help. But she wants to go by Google Parenting. There are set of